Born James Paul McCartney on June 18, 1942, in Liverpool, England, Paul McCartney's journey to becoming a cultural icon began in humble surroundings. Growing up in post-war Britain, McCartney was shaped by a working-class environment where music was a constant presence in his home. His father, Jim McCartney, a jazz musician, often played the piano and trumpet, while his mother, Mary, worked as a nurse. At the age of 14, tragedy struck when his mother passed away from breast cancer. This loss left a deep emotional scar on Paul and would later inspire some of his most heartfelt and reflective songwriting, like Let It Be, which was partially inspired by memories of her. Despite this, McCartney's love for music continued to grow, laying the foundation for his future musical career. The meeting of John Lennon and a musical partnership. Paul McCartney's life changed forever when he met John Lennon in 1957 at a church fete in Liverpool. Their chance meeting led to a lifelong musical partnership that would define the sound of the 1960s and beyond. Impressed by Paul's ability to tune a guitar and recall song lyrics, John invited him to join his band, the Quarrymen. This collaboration eventually evolved into the Beatles, one of the most successful and influential bands in the history of music. McCartney's melodic bass lines, his versatility as a vocalist, and his ability to craft tender ballads and energetic rock tunes made him an essential member of the group. The Beatles' chemistry, combined with their shared musical vision, created a perfect balance that helped them revolutionize music and define an entire generation. The Beatles, rising to worldwide fame. With the emergence of the Beatles in the early 1960s, McCartney quickly rose to international fame. The band's unique blend of talent, charisma, and innovation set them apart from other groups of the time. As the bassist and one of the lead vocalists, McCartney played a crucial role in crafting the Beatles' distinctive sound. His contributions included iconic songs such as Yesterday, Hey Jude, Let It Be, and Blackbird, which showcased his ability to blend melody with deep emotion. McCartney's collaborations with Lennon, with their contrasting yet complementary styles, created the perfect balance within the Beatles. While Lennon often brought an introspective and rebellious edge to their music, McCartney's melodic sophistication and romantic sensibility helped shape the group's timeless legacy. The Beatles' studio innovations and McCartney's artistic role. The Beatles' experimentation with groundbreaking studio techniques and new genres during the 1960s marked a transformative period in music history. McCartney played an integral role in the band's evolution, particularly during the making of albums like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. This album, a symbol of 1960s counterculture, is widely regarded as one of the most groundbreaking and influential albums in music history. McCartney's creativity, both as a songwriter and as a producer, helped define the Beatles' sound and solidified their status as musical innovators. Despite Lennon's more experimental approach and George Harrison's growing interest in Indian music, McCartney remained dedicated to perfecting the band's sound, blending a wide range of influences into something entirely new and unique. Post-Beatles, reinventing himself as a solo artist. Following the breakup of the Beatles in 1970, McCartney faced the daunting task of reinventing himself as a solo artist. The pressure to live up to the enormous legacy of the Beatles was immense, but McCartney rose to the challenge. His debut solo album, McCartney, was released in 1970 and included the classic ballad, Maybe I'm Amazed, a heartfelt song dedicated to his first wife, Linda Eastman. In the early 1970s, McCartney formed the band Wings with Linda, and together they achieved enormous commercial success. Hits like Band on the Run, Live and Let Die, and Jet helped establish Wings as one of the most successful bands of the decade. Through Wings, McCartney proved that he could thrive as a solo artist, building on his Beatles legacy while creating new and distinctive music. Memory, Aging, and the Reinvention of McCartney. In 2007, McCartney returned to his rock roots with Memory Almost Full, an album filled with reflections on life, aging, and nostalgia. The album's introspective themes were partially inspired by McCartney's personal experiences, including the dissolution of his marriage to Heather Mills. Tracks like Ever Present Past and Dance Tonight reflected McCartney's ability to balance lightheartedness with deeper emotional insight. The album was released under McCartney's partnership with Starbucks Here music label, signaling his willingness to adapt to the evolving music industry. It was well received both critically and commercially, debuting in the top 5 in both the UK and the US charts, showcasing McCartney's continued relevance as a solo artist. The experimental sound of McCartney's later work. In 2008, McCartney took another bold step with Electric Arguments, an album created as part of his experimental project with producer Youth under the name The Firemen. Unlike their previous largely instrumental albums, Electric Arguments featured McCartney's vocals and a raw, spontaneous songwriting style. Recorded quickly over just 13 sessions, the album blended rock, folk, and ambient sounds, surprising both critics and fans alike. Tracks like Sing the Changes and Nothing Too Much Just Out of Sight showcased McCartney's fearless creativity, proving that after more than 4 decades in music, he was still willing to explore new artistic territory. The album was widely praised for its freshness and energy, further demonstrating McCartney's willingness to experiment and push the boundaries of his music. Paul McCartney's marital journey, a story of love and loss. Paul McCartney's marital life has been marked by profound emotional experiences, reflecting his personal growth and capacity for love. His first marriage to Linda Eastman in 1969 was one of the most enduring and admired celebrity unions of the 20th century. Linda, an accomplished photographer and animal rights advocate, shared Paul's passion for music and creativity. Together, they formed the band Wings and raised their children in the countryside, away from the rock star spotlight. Linda's influence was profound, inspiring Paul to become a vegetarian and advocate for animal welfare. Tragically, Linda passed away from breast cancer in 1998, leaving Paul devastated. He described her as his soulmate, and her death left a lasting impact on him. He often said that not a day goes by without thinking of her. Paul McCartney's reflection on George Harrison. At 83, McCartney has begun reflecting more on his relationships, particularly with his former Beatles bandmate, George Harrison. For years, the true nature of their bond was obscured by rivalry and creative tension. However, McCartney now speaks candidly about his feelings for Harrison, admitting that George was like a younger brother to him. McCartney recalls the early days of their careers, when George's shy smile and innovative guitar playing helped shape the Beatles' sound. Despite their occasional clashes, McCartney now acknowledges that George's frustration at being overshadowed by the other Beatles left lasting scars. "I was probably too bossy," McCartney admits. "I wish I had given George more space to express himself." Looking back, McCartney realizes how much Harrison influenced him, especially in the final years of their friendship. The lasting influence of George Harrison on McCartney. Reflecting on the decades since George Harrison's passing, McCartney acknowledges how deeply Harrison's influence continues to shape his life. "George taught me patience," McCartney says. "He taught me to slow down and appreciate the simple things in life." George's ability to find peace in the present moment, whether in a garden or with family, has left an indelible mark on McCartney. As he approaches the later stages of his life, McCartney has come to understand the wisdom George imparted: to be present, to enjoy life's quiet moments, and to embrace love. McCartney's memories of George are now marked by gratitude, and through the music, their bond lives on.